Tyler Edgerton. You're in your car. You're driving as fast as you can away from that church. You've just seen something that has shaken you. Maybe not completely made you go over the edge just yet. You, after all, are familiar with elements of the supernatural, but you were not expecting something like this. A strange old man suddenly for a moment seemed to be something much bigger, much larger, glowing with almost a fire that for a moment made you feel as if all your secrets and sins were revealed. You ran from this man. Thankfully, he did not pursue you. Thankfully, you got back to your car, and now you're driving away. What are you doing, and what's going through your mind?
I've always known the church was dangerous. That much Wayne has made clear to me. I don't know who the old man was, either in life or on the other side of the veil that keeps us separate from things, but that's actually taking a bit of a secondary position in my things I need to figure out queue. Because over the last, it's been 8 hours? There have been enough pieces coming together that I'm starting to understand why my very, very good old friend is, still inside me. So, one of the things that Wayne has always tried to teach me in dealing with this part of the world, the part of the world beyond the world, is that you have to be meticulous. You always have to be keeping track of the facts. You can't take anything for granted, because that's when something slips in unnoticed and begins to pervert things even more than you're trying to, right? And what I've put together right now is that my attempt to get Wayne out of me and into the world went very, very badly around the same time that my dear beloved girlfriend visited a strange woman for an ill-timed procedure, and that Emma, the woman who introduced Angelica to this doctor, we'll put in finger quotes for now, described it as super weird. Now, I'm fairly new to this line of work, if you'll call it that, but the idea that something weird happened around the same time that my great project was terminated, catapulting my very good friend, who I'm only slightly growing tired of playing host to, came reeling back into my brain. That's a detail that I have not been able to entirely avail myself of. That's what's eating at me.
Indeed. Something definitely happened. It makes perfect sense to you now, but what exactly, you're not sure. You also don't understand why Wayne is like this now. When you first summoned him some time ago, it wasn't pleasant, but you could talk to him. He was able to communicate. He was very angry with you because, of course, you had done it wrong. You hadn't brought him back. You'd simply brought him into you. A miscalculation, perhaps? Or maybe you hadn't quite done the ritual correctly? But now, he just seems to be lost, full of rage. You can barely actually speak to him. And even as you start thinking about this, you can hear him in the back of your mind, thankfully a little weaker now than he was earlier, just screaming at you. Go back and kill him! Go back and kill him! Ah!
That's precisely what I'm afraid of. I don't know how you feel about it. I like having my brain to myself. I appreciate not being taken over and driven by an increasingly irritable and unstable spiritual force. Wayne, if given time, it's already happened once, will overpower me. And once he has control of my body, gods only know what he's going to do with it. That's why I'm focused on Emma and this character. I don't recall if I've actually heard her name yet, or if people have been... Amphevan was just vague about it when she described.
No one has given any names, no.
Yeah, so the sooner I can figure that out, bare minimum satisfaction level, the sooner that I can get Wayne out of my brain and stop me from committing a felony in broad daylight, right? Second tier goals, the sooner I do actually want to help him. The way that he's helped me, and to get back to our work together. And there's only really one path that will help me accomplish either of those things.
Indeed. If you can just find this individual, you might be able to get answers. It can't just be coincidence. This individual must have been up to something and interfered with your spell or your magic somehow. It couldn't have just been accidental. No way.
There are only two people I know who might know. The first is Emma, and she's been stonewalling us. I'm hoping here in the next little while I can get Angelica to be on my side, and together we can convince Emma to reveal that information. Aside from that, Mrs. Caldwell's my next best shot. I know they haven't been able to find this person, but maybe the police have some kind of leads that then I can put together and go from there. But aside from those two ideas, I'm running out of runway here, and the anxiety's starting to get to me.
It's as you're thinking these things and driving that we will return to our other characters. George Caldwell, you pull up the car, you're back home. Genesis just steps out of the car very quickly and just runs into the house, clearly not in a good mood. Jessica just steps out of the car and clutches her head a little. God, I'm feeling I feel like I have a bit of a sore throat, she says as she then clutches her neck a little. Honey, I think I'm just gonna... Do you mind if I just go and have a little lie down? Can you just make Angelica something and just don't do anything, what Pastor Richard Ward said, it's really, you get that it's weird, right? You do get that it's a weird thing to say. Why, if we could find this person, she needs to be arrested, not taken to him.
Yeah, of course you can. You should rest. I'll take care of Angelica and Genesis. Don't worry about it.
I'm just gonna go have a little nap, and then we'll talk as a family. And she goes into the house. Angelica, how are you feeling? You see Genesis run out. You see your mum suddenly look unwell, say she has a sore throat, and now it's just you and your dad. What do you do?
I kind of linger in the car a bit. Don't want to get out just yet. It's just I feel lost. I don't know who to turn to now. I mean, it seems I can only trust Tyler. I kind of look over to my dad, but I just get angry because I'm getting more and more convinced that he's the one that told Pastor Ward about the situation, and I feel so exasperated by my mom as well. Oh, we're gonna have another talk as a family. I mean, what did that give us last time? Yeah, not gonna happen.
George, what are you doing? You see Jessica head into the house. You can see she heads upstairs rather quickly. She does almost look like she's feeling dizzy. She definitely looks like she needs a lie down. A bit concerning.
Yeah, and me as well. I'm not feeling too good from everything that happened. To be honest, what I really want to do is just go into my room with a bottle of Johnny Walker and just drink. That would really help right now. You know, it has helped in the past, and I think it might just help now as well. But I gotta make sure that the kids are alright first. Kids, I mean, they're not exactly children anymore. Come on, honey, let's go inside, and fix you up something to eat.
I'm not hungry, Dad. And I don't know if I want to go inside. After everything that happened, I think I just need some time apart from you guys. I'm sorry, but that's kind of how I feel.
No, I understand you've gone through something traumatic. I understand. Just stay safe, all right? Don't do anything stupid. I gotta go take care of myself, to be honest, after all this. I'll be in my room. See you tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll probably be in later. I just needed time to sort my thoughts a bit.
And having gotten the permission to essentially leave her and go off on my own, that's exactly what I will do. I hope that it will sort things out, that the alcohol will dull what I feel, dull the depression, dull those feelings of inadequacy that I've been dealing with for such a long time, and that really returned in a big way today. Not even being able to protect my own daughter, seeing her humiliated in front of the entire town.
Angelica, how are you going to go wherever you're going? You do have, of course, your bike. There's 2 bikes at the front of the house. One's yours, one's your sister. There is also the car, although it is Dad's car. He might not want you to drive it. Maybe he does. What do you do?
I'll stay in the car for a bit, trying to reach Emma. Texting her, calling her, to see if I can get some kind of answers from her.
Very well. George, you'll go into the house. We'll go upstairs. You'll see that Jessica has already just collapsed in bed. You kind of worried for a moment, but you do see her breathing, so she must just be really tired. You'll notice that Genesis has closed her door, so you can't see what's going on in there. So you'll just find one of the rooms upstairs and find where you keep your drink.
Yeah, I'll open up the drawer where I keep my emergency bottle and turn on some jazz, and I'll open up that art book, Frank Frazetta, the one I like to go back to, my safety blanket, you know? And I'll just drink. I'll just disappear into the art and the music, and maybe tomorrow I'll feel better.
Well, it definitely gives you some temporary relief, especially looking at that art book. You just love how those little details all come together. So few people can see them, but to you they've always been obvious. Little lines, little, almost like symbols. You like to think to yourself, anyway, and you always enjoy how they connect, if you really think hard about them anyway. Angelica, you're in the car, you see Dad go in, you are finally alone. You will bring up your phone, and you have indeed got some text from your friend, Emma. Hey, you okay?
No? Where are you?
Where am I? Oh, I'm at the Crimson Cafe, you know? Where else would I be?
Stay there, I'm coming.
Okay, ... What's happened? Exclamation mark.
I'll tell you when I see you. I'm so close to leaving this town behind at this moment, but I'll tell you in a bit.
Angelica, you get ready to use the car. And then something strange happens. You get a strange feeling, and you realize it's extremely similar to what happened at the church just a few hours ago. Suddenly, you're no longer in the car, but you're somewhere else. You're in a doctor's room or a surgery ward or something. You can smell blood on the air and incense. You look around and you see not a lot initially. It's very dark, although you think you can just see 2 people gathered around an operating table, currently empty, in the dark. You also notice George standing next to you. George, you sat back in your chair, you took a big swig of your drink, and for a moment just closed your eyes, and suddenly you open them, and Angelica is next to you, and you're in a very strange place. It feels very similar to that weird vision you had the other night, although the room isn't quite the same. What do the 2 of you do?
I just look around, not knowing what's going on, and I look at Angelica.
You can clearly tell that Angelica is about to freak out, because firstly she was just in the car, and secondly this kind of brings back sort of memories to her, and this, and after everything she's been through today, I start looking for an exit, try to like scramble backwards towards the door or towards a wall or something, just to ground myself almost, to feel something.
Could you roll to keep it together? Let's see how you do.
So 15 actually.
You stumble back, sadly not finding an exit, but at least finding a wall, and it feels very solid. And also, for a moment, it feels like a car seat. Even though you're looking at a stone wall, it feels like you're still sitting in the car. This is like before. You're not actually here. This is just something you're seeing, and that in itself makes this all slightly less terrifying, even though it is still very strange.
In that case, I try to feel if I can feel the, what do you call it, dashboard.
You can, but it's very nebulous. You kind of just end up in this scene, putting your hands out in front of you. George, Angelica's here, and she looks really freaked out. What do you do?
You're also seeing this, huh? It's not just me, in some kind of drunken stupor, right? This is real.
No? Yes? No! I don't know! What are you doing here? This is just... Oh, I can't do this right now.
It'll be alright, honey. Don't worry. We'll figure this out. It's probably just some kind of dream or something like that. It's gonna be alright. Just stick together. It's gonna be alright. Now let's see if we can start the car maybe and drive it somewhere. Maybe we're supposed to go someplace. Huh?
As you're saying that, but you do notice that the people nearby are speaking. They were not speaking a minute ago, but now quite loudly. What do? Do you look at these two people?
Yeah. Try to listen in. What are they saying?
They are dressed in surgery gear, but whilst for a moment they had surgical masks on, they've now taken them off. One of them is a man. He looks to be in his late 30s, perhaps now. He has a very distinctive black spot on his face, identical to that baby you saw in the previous vision. He's talking to a woman. She is blonde, her hair is neatly tied up, of course, and if you were to look as well, Angelica, you would notice that both these individuals look extremely similar to the young students you saw. Of course, now they have aged by at least 10 years. How do you respond to that, Angelica?
Dad, I've seen them before. I don't know what's happening here, but they were younger, and I'm still trying to reach over the dashboard to find where you put on the AC or something to get the feel the cold rush of air against my skin, or just something to kind of help me ground myself in the car situation rather than the surgery situation.
You do. You're able to feel something, and you can hear a distant whirring, but it doesn't really feel like anything's blowing on your face. But you do think you are interacting still with things in reality. Although, of course, if you were to try and drive the car right now, you have no idea if that could be done safely.
Yeah, probably not a good idea. Dad, I don't like this. I don't understand why you're here. I mean, me and Tyler kind of, but you...
I don't know. I don't know, honey. But it's gonna be alright. It's all gonna be alright, I say, mostly trying to convince myself that it's going to be alright.
The woman speaks suddenly very excitedly. I can't believe it worked, Wayne. It works just like you said. I feel great. I feel wonderful. Of course you do, my dear. It worked exactly as I intended. And as I said, totally harmless. Yes, I was a little concerned, but I shouldn't have been. Of course you shouldn't have been concerned, my dear. Darling Eve. No one's hurt. The spirits, the souls, haven't arrived yet. All we're taking is just a little bit of primal flesh. And it gives us, well, as you can feel. Yes. Oh, Wayne, this is wonderful. Should we do it again? Now. Can't keep doing it all the time, my dear, but soon we will feel like this forever. And then the man turns and looks at you, George. What do you do?
Just look back at him. Who are you? Where are we?
No, you weren't. No, it keeps falling apart. No, you were not. No, you aren't here. You were never here. That's not how it went. No! He starts sounding panicked and reaching out to you. What do you do, George?
I reach towards him, trying to make a connection. Perhaps he can help us.
As you reach towards him, he hurls the table at you suddenly and violently. And then you're sitting upstairs with your drink in hand. And you, Angelica, are in your car. What do you do, Angelica?
Can I feel the rush of cold air now? Or are my senses still kind of dulled?
No, you can feel the cold rush of air. You're back in the car. It's a normal day.
I think I lean towards the dashboard, almost trying to suck in all the fresh air that I can, trying to calm myself. Then I leave the car and I start towards the house. I need to talk to my father about this.
George, what do? You suddenly saw something very strange, and now you're back in your room upstairs.
My daughter was there. This was real. I put down the bottle and I turn off the record player and begin making my way downstairs. Maybe Angelica's still there.
She is. You see her coming back into the house.
As soon as I throw the door open, I yell like, "Dad!"
You saw it too. It happened. It really happened.
I think you need to come with me.
Yeah.
I turn in the door and start to watch the car again.
And I follow her.
Then the pair of you get into the car. Are you intending to go and meet your friend?
Yes, and I'm gonna, before I drive out from the driveway, I text Tyler to meet us there as well.
In that case, that text will be sent as you begin to drive off. And just as you do, George, you'll look back at the house, perhaps a little concerned. After all, Jessica said to wait, but, well, she's asleep. How are you feeling about leaving her?
She'll be alright. She'll need the rest. And I have a feeling that this might not be entirely safe. I mean, she could probably protect us better than I can, but I don't want anything to happen to her.
You'll also notice, just as you leave the driveway, Genesis watching from the window, looking a little confused and concerned, before you eventually drive away. Tyler, just at that moment when your anxiety is really getting the better of you, you get a text. It's from Angelica. She says, "Meet me at the Crimson Cafe." You, of course, know where the Crimson Cafe is. It's one of those very fancy, student-type cafes with a name that sounds really cool, but really it's just a very casual indie bar / cafe in the center of town.
Yeah, I mean, not my kind of place. I'm not the kind of person who enjoys spending $8 for a latte, but, you know, I mean, Angelica likes it, so... Do I know that this is where her friend works, or would this appear to me just that she wants to go have a coffee?
It would appear she just wants to go to have a coffee. However, you would know that you have often had coffees there with both her and Emma. They like to hang out there.
Well, regardless, it doesn't change the fact that I'm going to go. Part of this plan executing correctly is that Angelica keeps most of her head on her shoulders, and I have the strangest feeling that I'm going to have to. I don't know. I can't tell her, obviously, but it's a piece of the puzzle that needs to be managed, and it will be easier to manage if I continue to play the role of a supportive and loving boyfriend figure. So, yes, of course, I will head in that direction. Fingers crossed that it's about to lead to some answers, but if nothing else, I can soothe whatever nerves are bubbling up until we make some more progress on the more substantive issues.
And so the three of you make your way to the Crimson Cafe. As I said, it's a nice little indie cafe in the middle of town. It's got a nice red, black colour scheme. There's popular indie music playing as you go in. Very popular with the student population of the town. But at this time of day, not too busy. It is now almost 2, maybe even 3 o'clock. Angelica, you will get there with your father first, I feel. And as you're entering, you will notice your friend, Emma Creed. Emma Creed is similar age to Angelica. She has dark hair with some nice little pink streaks in it, currently wearing a nice little black jacket, black eyeliner, of course, with a nice blue top. She smiles at you, Angelica, but you notice immediately she looks concerned as your father is with you, and kind of looks a bit confused. What do you do?
I just walk up towards her table where she's sitting and sit down and kind of nods to my father to sit down as well.
I do so.
Hey, Angelica, Mr. Caldwell, what's up?
I honestly don't know.
Well, what do you mean?
It all started, after you helped me home yesterday. They all know.
Oh.
All of them, including Genesis, and apparently passed the ward.
Wait, what?
I don't know why.
Okay, George, you're not an expert on teenage girls, other than your daughters, and even then they're not really easy for you to understand these days, but you don't need to roll to tell that Emma is very flustered because you are here and not really sure what she can and can't say.
Yeah. Look, I'll go and grab something for us to drink, Angelica. Be right back. I get up and
Yeah, can you get me a latte, double latte with soy milk?
Sure thing. And I'll move off to order that at the counter.
And you do so. Emma leans into you, Angelica. I mean, okay, what, are you in trouble? What, did your mum get really angry, before she would? Oh, shit. What do you want me to say? What can I say?
Nothing. We should just wait for Tyler. He's coming as well. I hope. At least...
He is? Shit, you told him as well? Already?
Yeah, well, the thing is, my mom kind of pressured me after you brought me home yesterday and... Well, last night, and she kind of pressured me until I just blurted it out, and she called, family meeting, and they called Tyler over, and then they dragged my ass to the freaking church.
What?
And the pastor called me out in front of everyone. But that's not even all. I've been having really, really weird visions, and I share them with my dad.
Wait, what?
And Tyler.
Tyler? What the hell does... Wait, so he's coming here?
I hope so, at least. I checked my phone to see if Tyler has answered or anything.
He has. In fact, you just look outside and see his car parking just across the street. Tyler, you are at the cafe. As you begin walking towards it, you can see Emma and Angelica are sitting together, and George is here, currently buying something at the counter, but he is here.
Poor old man just can't help himself. Well, that changes the tone that I'll be taking in this conversation, but parking, I hope, with my back, at least, or the back of the car, to the front windows. That way they can't see me go through that. It's almost like the way that actors have to pause and say, all right, game face on. muster up some feelings of concern, push away the more inexplicable emotions coming to my face. And then one hand on the car door, open it up, begin scene. Not stalking, but moving with quite a bit of urgency towards the door, looking around, like eyes wide, trying to give the impression to the people in the room that I it is what it is. I got a message from Angelica saying, meet me here, and it was all I could do to stop for red lights on the way over, and I'm just overwhelmed with concern, ready to be here for my partner. So without even, no stopping to get a drink, don't regard George at all, rushing over to the table, sitting down immediately. Angie, is everything okay? I got your message. I came as fast as I could. What's going on?
No, everything is not okay. And for some reason, my dad's kind of part of this as well.
Part of...
Yeah, when we got home, you know what happened to us in the church?
Yeah?
The kind of the vision thing with the library and the woman and the man talking and stuff, meeting up.
Yeah, okay. I wasn't aware that we were sharing that with Emma, but I'm catching up now. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you guys, is this some sort of weird... I mean, it'd be a weird time to be joking, Angie, because unless this is a grief thing. Tyler was being weird in text last night, saying he was concerned about something. What's going on?
But the thing is, I kind of lean over the table a bit before my father gets here with the coffee. It's like, I just had another one, and that what was in it. That was a part of it as well. And he looked at me and he's like, oh, are you seeing this too? And then I was in the car and he was up in his room, and I kind of, when it was over, I rushed into the house and he was rushing down the stairs to get to me, and I'm just like, we need to get out of here. So here we are.
Let it never be said that Tyler will miss an opportunity to manipulate the people around him for the things that he wants. Because as Angelica starts spinning this out, I'm going to let all the concern come up, and I'm going to look between them, look to Emma, and say, Emma, look, you said it was weird. A weird thing happened, and now more weird things are happening. So, unless you can explain that, there's only one person who knows, and I don't know why you're trying to protect that person, but at this point, it's not just Angie, it's not just me, it's George too. Something's going on.
Well, wait a minute. I'm trying to protect Angelica. I'm not protecting that person. What's that got to... What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do?
Oh, we just need to know who it is.
I don't know who it was. They don't give their name out.
Well, then how did you find them? Obviously something... Look, all I know is that there's a point in time, right? And before that, everything is great. No one's having freaky dreams. No one's having screaming matches out of nowhere. Then something happens, and now we're in the fucking Twilight Zone or Black Mirror or some weird shit.
Angie, what's gonna help you? Tyler, no offense. What do you want me to do?
I don't know. I mean, if you know anything about what happened last night, about the people in there, or if you saw something or know something, did they do something? Maybe they hypnotized me?
Well, I don't know about that. Okay, look, okay.
But then they must have hypnotized my dad as well, and Tyler, and they weren't there.
Well, okay, now, Angie, you're going into kind of weird shit land, even more weird shit. Okay, let me just... Okay. She puts her hands down on the table and looks to George for a minute, still at the counter, and then looks to the pair of you. Okay. We went to somewhere off 2nd Street. That's where we were, the abandoned cinema. I think that's where it was. And, okay, no, I don't know who they are, Tyler, because they don't give you a name. It was from one of my friends at the club. She gives you a number, and you ring the number, but you don't actually ring, you text the number. No, sorry, you always text. You just text the number saying, business, and then they respond with a place to go. And that's what we did. I did that for because we talked about it, thing. She gives you a bit of a look, Tyler. And she, obviously we couldn't just go to the hospital, because then the doctor there would put her on the waiting list, and God knows how long that's going to take, and of course she'd tell her parents.
It's fine. I'm not mad at you. If you think I'm mad at you, I'm not. I just, you did what was right for Angelica, and God knows I want what's right for her too. And that's the only reason that I'm trying to get to the bottom of this, all right?
Okay. I don't know what you're going to do, but... Well, I have the number, but, I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to find the person? I don't know, bring him to the police or something? Isn't that going to get you in trouble?
Maybe they can explain something to us, at least. Tell us what we're going through.
You just think they're going to explain stuff to you, Angie. I don't think they're... I kind of... Okay, I admit, I thought my friends told me they were all right, but what I saw didn't seem all right. I think they seemed really dodgy. That's why I got you out of there. They had candles and shit going on, and I think I heard even some weird, horror movie chanting or something. That's why I got you out of there. I just went in. She said something like, it's not quite finished, and I said, is it done? And she said, yes, but not quite. And then, okay, I kind of took a risk there, but you weren't... You were there. There was nothing happening to you, so clearly she'd done the thing, and I just didn't want anything else happening to you. So I just got you out of there. I didn't keep looking. Sorry, Tyler, didn't look around and do a detective thing. I just wanted Angie out of there.
No, and I'm sorry. I know it sounds very intense. I'm just starting to get a little freaked out and a little worried is all.
I'm sorry, Angie. I am. It was a bad idea.
No, you couldn't know. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, I'm here. But what if my mom's right? What if they're connected to all the dead girls?
Fuck! I didn't think one of my friends... I don't know.
What if they were gonna do something to me?
Well, they didn't. But...
I got you to thank for that. Thank you. I really... You're a true friend.
You sure? I don't know. I feel bad. She starts looking a little upset.
I put my arm around her shoulders and kind of squeeze them a little bit.
She reaches into her pocket and takes out some paper and a pen. Not too unusual for Emma. She likes to write down song lyrics and album lists all the time. And just writes a number. Okay, look, there's the number. You want to find the person, maybe you can make them think that you're coming for a you-know-what, but I don't know what's going to happen. Are you sure it's safe?
Probably not. I don't know.
Look, we're not going to go alone. And who knows, maybe we set it up and... Fuck, Emma, I don't know. We'll think of something.
She pushes the little piece of paper towards you, Tyler, and it's at that point that, George, you return to the table.
Is there any chance that I can quickly pocket the piece of paper before George makes it all the way back? Or is this going to be one of those moments where he comes by just in time to see me trying to hide it from him?
I think with your intention very clear, yes, you do it easily. After all, George is trying to not intrude, so I think you easily get that paper in your pocket, and George, you come back with some drinks. You notice, by the way, that Tyler has arrived.
Oh, hi, Tyler. Here, honey, just what you asked for.
Dad, take a seat. I think we need to talk.
Sure, I'll sit down and just look around the table at all these faces and somehow feeling a little bit out of the loop. There's a lot of things going on, seemingly, here. I suppose that's to be expected. My daughter has her own life, obviously, and I guess I'm not part of it for the most part. Yeah, I'm listening, and just don't feel like you need to hide anything from me.
Emma looks a bit awkward and says, I kind of gotta... I'm seeing Deborah and Shanice. I mean, they were expecting to see me. I should probably not keep them waiting.
It's okay, Emma. I'll keep you posted.
Okay, just Stay safe. Nice to see you, Mr. Caldwell. Tyler. And she gets up. Not necessarily in a hurry to leave, but clearly just feeling like she doesn't really want to be here anymore with George around.
And I just look at Angelica and I look at Tyler. And I put on a forced smile, trying to blend in, which is difficult.
I don't even know where to begin, but I know that it's Angie's story to tell, so I'm going to just lean back in my chair. Not crossed arms, not standoffish, but just out of the way a little bit as this conversation starts.
I don't even know where to start.
It doesn't have to make sense. Just tell me what's going on.
Well, since yesterday when everything happened, well, I don't have a clear image of exactly what happened, but I've kind of been experiencing things. Like I had this kind of, when we were in the church, I saw this kind of vision. I think Tyler was there as well, and I kind of, it was hard breathing. And during the sermon, I kind of had this, like, choking experience. It was really hard for me to not necessarily breathe, but it was like something was pushing down on me, kind of, just... And just now, Tyler, just before we got here, I had a vision again of the same people in the library, and, well, my dad was there. And I have no idea, why were you there, Dad? I think it makes no sense at all, and I think someone has some explaining to do. I don't know if it's you, or if it's Dad, if it's Emma, but someone needs to start explaining things, because this is really freaking me out.
I just shake my head and I go, no, I have no idea what's going on. I've been seeing things recently, but you know, it's not exactly out of the ordinary. You know, I've been dealing with things over the years, but what we experienced earlier today, that's certainly not something that I've experienced in the past. So whatever's going on is, well, it's not natural.
But wasn't he like yelling to you, like, no, you're not here, you're not supposed to be here, or something like that?
Yeah.
Like he knew you?
I don't know what we were seeing, if it was the present, the past, the future. I can't quite tell, but he wasn't happy about me being there. I wanted to reach out to him and maybe have him explain what the hell's going on. But I guess he attacked me. And that's when the connection, or whatever it was broken. And that's when I was back in the room.
What's going through your mind, Tyler? After all, neither of them know who they're seeing. You know both the people, at least in the vision you saw.
I mean, it's very difficult to pointedly avoid eye contact in a moment like this, but I know that if I met Angelica's eyes in this moment, they would tell on me. So I think when she starts to explain, I make a point of putting my face in my hands, like I'm listening and I'm paying attention, but I just need to reduce the stimulus coming into my brain, which will allow me to hide the thinking face. I understand why Angie and I were there. I do not understand what George has to do with this. I know my plan is to figure out through the woman who performed the procedure, but I can't keep pushing on that, or so they'll know. And I think as I'm puzzling that, it just kind of comes out physically as, again, like just head in hand, shaking my head a little bit, trying to digest that it's not making a lot of sense. I want to appear innocuously frustrated as opposed to like a crazy person trying to put the puzzle pieces together.
I would like you, then, as the situation is a little stressful, I think you're going to need to roll a charisma roll. Let's see if you can appear exactly as you wish to appear in this scenario.
Oh yeah, that's a 4.
In this scenario, we're not going to go strictly by the book. I think we'll safely say that on a 4, you try all this, but George, Tyler seems to you a little bit like... Well, you're reminded of when Angelica and Genesis, when they were younger, and they try and hide that they'd done something naughty, and they would do that thing where they get a bit flustered. Tyler seems a bit flustered. You notice it as well, Angelica. There's something about what he's saying that isn't coming off quite as confident as he normally seems.
I look to him then, and I say, look, I know this all sounds really weird, but if you know anything about it, you know, you can tell us.
I appreciate what George is trying to do as a father, but what's going to make or break the decision for me is what Angelica's doing as she looks at me. Because more than the threat of Wayne coming into this moment, which is my primary concern, it's also a race between me putting the dots together before Angelica puts the dots together. Because whether or not I tell her, the only thing worse is if she finds out before I tell her.
Well, Angelica, what do? You can tell Tyler is holding something back. You don't know how you can tell, you just can. There's something about the way he's acting. He's almost being too apologetic now, too concerned.
I slump back in my chair a bit, kind of eyeing him through narrowed... I narrow my eyes a bit, kind of eye him. And then I'm like... That night in the graveyard, it has something to do with this, doesn't it?
I just sit there at this point, hands coming down to the table, and my mouth a little agape as I'm trying to find the right words. Not to lie, but just, I mean, where do you start? The story is, of course, unbelievable on its face, to say nothing of the fact that I would be discussing the graveyard with her father here. And I think all I muster out of it is, how about we go for a walk? Yeah?
Yeah.
Does that sound alright, George? Just a nice little family walk, maybe somewhere with, fewer people around?
Sure. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
And I don't even know how far we'll make it, right? The point isn't to actually go for a stroll. But that transition, I think, gives me enough time to come up with a half-lie. I cannot... Sorry, sweetie, we went to the graveyard and I tried to bring back a sorcerer. That's not gonna fly. But I can find enough of a connection to truth where the lie becomes believable because it's adjacent enough to what actually happened.
So the three of you will leave the cafe and just start walking, and as you do, there is actually a local park where it's a bit easier just to hang around and have slightly less people nearby. Although, of course, still the middle of the day, so there are, in the distance, people moving and walking around and cars driving by. It's at least a little more private.
Yeah, that's fine. I didn't want a barista coming by and saying, "Are you finished with that cup?" Right when I get to the part where I talk about, I'll start by just apologizing to George that he has to hear this, because I imagine it's some imagery that he might not want seared into his memory for eternity. But I think the way I'm going to spin it is... Okay, Angie, you know how I had that phase with the weird stuff, and Emma and I spent a lot of time talking about the weird stuff, right?
Yeah, I was kind of there with you, so...
Yeah, so in those books, there were some things about how to, accentuate activities, right? And, I wanted it to kind of be a surprise, which is why I didn't tell you, and I think it worked.
It Sorry, Dad. It was awesome, of course.
Yeah, I mean, like, it worked, but no, what I mean is, it worked? I'm sorry, this is so awkward with your dad here, and again, Mr. Caldwell, I apologize, but do you know how, I said, like, it's supposed to take us to another place, right?
Yeah, and I kind of totally saw that happening. So, yeah.
And didn't it feel like the thing in the library? Did whatever you and your dad? I'm sorry, George. I'm still talking like you're not here. Did George and you weren't there. You can't compare. Anyway, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. It feels the same, right? Or at least close enough to be confusing.
Because it was like there but not at the same time.
Yeah, like I don't know, an alternate dimension or the one right next door. I don't know.
But I mean that was you and me. I can understand this happening to us, but my dad.
Yeah, I can't explain any of this, but that's the part that I cannot explain the least, right? Or the most. However that works out. It was supposed to be a one-time thing, but I don't know. Emma said there was incense and chanting and shit. What if, and I know this is crazy, right? But just like, what if you and I accidentally or accidentally on purpose did a thing that, and I'm just gesturing in the, I'm guessing universal sign language for like weird spooky shit. If you and I could, then God only knows, right?
George, how's this going? You're hearing a lot of very strange stuff.
I'm just sitting there looking at the two of them, trying to put on my most non-judgmental face, and just trying to absorb all this information, trying to square it with what I have been through myself. And I'm still struggling to really connect the dots. I feel like I should just listen here.
There is an awkward silence for the moment, as everyone suddenly is just quiet. It is a nice day out, after all, although now it's almost 4, so soon the evening will descend. The question is, what are the 3 of you going to do? You do not know this, George, but you and Angelica know. You have a number. You know what to say to make a certain someone be at a place you assume they'll tell you. They could be there tonight. What are you going to do, Tyler?
Well, I keep coming back to this point, where I have reached the limit of my understanding of the situation, and there's only one thing that has changed since all of this. And it's not, I am being especially careful not to sound like, let's go to the witch and figure out, because she'll know because she's a witch, but being especially careful to say there's only one thing I know, that only one piece of this that has a question mark next to it. With the idea that if I kind of talk around it enough, I can make it kind of seem like it's their idea too, and rope them into the process, because I don't want to be caught leading it or pushing it in that direction. I will if I have to, but I want to give them a chance to get there first.
In that case, Angelica, what are you going to do? You think Tyler is willing to give you information. He is being a little hesitant, you got that earlier, but he is now telling you a lot. But you do have this moment where you feel that it's you who are going to have to take the lead, almost.
I'm just desperately going over the scenes from before, the different visions we had.
They all swirl together. Granted, we'll assume that your father told you about his in the car journey. One image, one vision of a baby, another vision of 2 young students, a final vision so far of them as adults. Each time a man with a black spot on his face.
What was it they were doing in the last vision?
You couldn't quite tell, but as you try and think about it, your vision begins to swirl again, and you feel a bit uneasy, as reality shifts once more.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we play the scenario Judgment for KULT Divinity Lost. Judgment was written by Matthew Sanderson and was published as part of the Screams and Whispers scenario collection. This scenario has been sponsored by our friends at Helmgast. The music was made by Atrium Corsari, featuring a number of collaborations with other artists, and was used with permission from their label Cryochamber. Check out their website at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody dark ambient for your gaming table. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon: Martin Heuschober, Nastasia Raulerson, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, Camilla, Ludwig Manford, Bob Lange, Julián, Cameron, Xabier, and Antxon for their generous support. And we'd of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want early access to our content and to hear raw versions of our recordings right after we've done them, or get your name announced as a champion of the Red Moon, do check out our higher level tiers on Patreon. It's a great way to get more Red Moon role-playing in your life and to help us keep the show going. Thank you again for listening, and remember, death is only the beginning.